to UnJustified, where we always cover the truth, the facts, on an unbiased and sometimes unpopular opinion. I've been asked to read over the discovery documents. There's 1,960 pages of this, and so it's going to take us quite a while to get through it all. There's going to be several mini parts, but I think it's important, and I think everyone needs to know what are in these documents instead of just getting snippets here and there. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start right here. This is going to be part 1, and I do hope you guys will listen to these videos because they're going to take a lot of time on all the reading and such as that. I will throw my opinions and thoughts in sporadically here and there, randomly. I can't help it. That's just what I do, but I hope you get something out of this. So we're going to start on page 1, but it's actually not page 1 of the discoveries. It's page 1 of what we have. It's page 1 of 1960. There's a lot of the discovery that we did not get and was still being withheld and is still being withheld from D.A. Rourke at Weld County, but we do have the Frederick Police Department discovery, so let's just get right into it. This page, of course, is going to be started on the day it happens, and it's Officer Coonrod, and we all know that scenario. He's the one that came to the house when Nicole Atkinson made her wellness check call. And this is the charges that he has. He has murder in the first degree, a felony 1. He has 3 of those, 1, 2, 3. He has tampering with deceased human body. That's a 3rd degree felony. He has 3 of those. The victims, his wife, SW, her date of birth, black hair, hazel eyes, their address, of course. And as you'll see, it's actually page 46 of the discovery. So our page 1 is actually 46. And another thing to point out about the discovery, it is not in order, like in order as the case went. It is kind of mixed up here and there and jumbled around, but there's nothing I can do about that. Okay, going on down to page 2, Chris Watts. His date of birth, hair black, eyes brown, which is, I think that should be salt and pepper because he wasn't black hair at the time, but we know who he is, right? Going on down to the victim is Celeste. Going on down to the victim being Bella. And Celeste's weight is 37 and Bella's weight is 40, so there's not a lot of difference in their weight. But Celeste was a little chubby thing, and Bella had already started losing her little, what they call baby fat, and she was getting taller, so that's why their weight is, I think, because that happens a lot. That's why their weight is so close. Going on down, first witness being Nicole Atkinson. For her privacy, all of her information is blacked out, and I'm glad of that. Going on down to page 4, the next witness being Nathaniel, and of course that's Nate, and of course his personal information is blocked out, and that's good. Going on down to the arrest, Christopher Lee Watts, and of course there's his information. So here we go on the narrative. Now I know in a lot of these reports you're going to be like, oh, I've done saw this, I've done heard this, I've done saw the video. Well, what is different about the report than the videos that we see is a lot of times whoever wrote the report actually sees and notices things that they put into the report that you don't actually see in the video, right? Because you can't see what they're thinking. And that's why sometimes these reports sound so much different than what you actually saw on video. They may notice something or think something or hear something like that that you don't pick up in the videos that we see. And so these reports are pretty important even if you did see the videos, because a lot of times you're going to hear something that you didn't see in the video, even if you think, well, I've done heard all about that, I know all that. Well, you may pick up something in the reports that you actually didn't know or didn't see. So anyway, I just thought I would throw that out there. And for those of you that just like to put in your earbuds and do what you want to do your thing, this may be a good time to do it, because this is all read through. There's no videos or anything like that. Now, if you want to read along with me, you can, because I like for you to be able to see it as well if you want to. And if not, just kick back and let's get started on this. On August the 13th, 2018, at approximately 1340 hours, and that would be 1:40 p.m., this officer was dispatched to 2825 Saratoga Trail on a report well-being check. Nicole Atkinson called about her friend, Shanann Watts. Nicole stated she dropped Shanann off at about 1:48 hours in the morning, and of course that's 1:48 a.m. Nicole stated Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant and was not feeling well. Nicole had dropped her off after her business flight from Arizona. Shanann was not answering phone calls or texts and had missed her doctor's appointment. Nicole and her son, Nicholas, went to the Watts residence and observed Shanann's car in the garage. The vehicle still had child seats in it. I'm sure that's what that's supposed to mean instead of it. Nicole attempted to enter the front door, but it had a latch which prevents you from opening it more than 3 inches. Nicole had called Shanann's husband, Chris, and requested he come home and check on Shanann. Nicole stated Shanann was diabetic and was not known to have seizures or to ever black out. Upon arrival, I checked the front door. Nicole entered the password and it opened. The door had a safety latch which prevented it from opening more than a few inches. I announced police department and heard no noises from Shanann or the children. Celeste and Bella Watts. I did not see anything through the windows that was out of the ordinary. I checked all windows and rear slider door. All were locked, and the sliding glass door had a lock bar on it. Nicole kept saying Christopher was not coming. She had called him several times, and he kept giving her different arrival times. I contacted Christopher by phone and asked for the garage door code. Christopher stated that it did not work from the outside, and he was about 5 minutes away at that time. When Christopher arrived, we went inside through the garage to check for Shanann and the 2 children. Christopher gave consent to check the entire home. No one was found at the residence. Christopher did come up to me holding Shanann's wedding ring and stated he found it on the nightstand. When Nicole asked where Shanann's phone was, Christopher went to the couch upstairs and found it between the cushions. Now see, that part has always really gotten to me, because Nicole's son, Nick, was supposedly the one that found that phone, and I think it even shows in the video that it was her son that found the phone, but the report says Chris is the one that went to the couch and found the phone between the cushions. So, you just take that as you will. He was, Conrad, this is his report, and that's what he said in his report. So Christopher went to the couch upstairs and found it between the cushions. He did not know the password was to Shanann's phone. Nicole knew it. It was possible the date of birth of their unborn son, and I turned it on. Okay, let me stop there. Actually, Nicole didn't know it. It was actually who she was talking to on the phone that knew the code, from the way I understand it. It was the friend Cassie, and Cassie told Nicole what the code to the phone was. I'm not sure where I heard that. It could have been in Nicole Atkinson's interview, but wherever I heard it, it was fact. That is how the code was found out for Shanann's phone, was Cassie. Christopher gave consent to look at her phone. No calls were made that morning. I contacted Detective Baumhover and requested he to come to the residence. Christopher stated Shanann arrived home from a trip at around 2 a.m. He was asleep at the time, and he awoke at around 5 a.m. to get ready for work, and they began talking about them separating. Chris stated it was a civil conversation and they were not arguing. They were emotional, though. Christopher stated they had been talking about separating for a few weeks. Christopher stated at about 5:27 a.m. he backed his truck to the garage to load up tools and left. Christopher stated he had tools stolen in the past, and now he unloads his trucks on Fridays. Christopher stated Shanann was in the bed at that time. He stated Shanann told him she was going to a friend's house today with their 2 children. He stated he did not ask Shanann which friend's house she was going to, and he stated he went to a job site, an oil well past Hudson, to check on it. Christopher stated he was there alone for a few hours. See, that doesn't add up with the timeline, because if he left his house at 5:45 a.m. and went straight there, that would have got him getting there at, it can be up to an hour drive there. So, you're talking about almost 7 a.m. when he got there, and he was at a different site by 8 a.m., so he wasn't there that long, a few hours. I put a few being 3, and he wasn't there that long. Christopher said he was an operator at Anadarko. Shanann's mother called during this time and was adamant that Christopher had done something and that I needed to check the GPS on his truck. Christopher's work truck has GPS on it. Detective Baumhover and I checked the resident thoroughly. Shanann's purse, wallet, phone, credit cards, etc. were at the residence. We observed nothing suspicious inside the residence, vehicles, or garage that gave the appearance of an altercation. The master bed had the comforter, sheets, and pillows removed. The fitted sheet was next to the comforter on the floor, and the pillows were on the other side of the bed on the floor. I did not observe the top sheet anywhere, and Nicole stated Shanann works from home and it is extremely unusual for her to leave without her phone. She does direct sales and she does not go anywhere without it. I checked with neighbors to see if anyone observed someone coming or going. Nate, the neighbor to the east, showed me his home video surveillance at 1:48 a.m. hours. Nicole's vehicle is observed leaving. The vehicle does not show it arriving. I always wondered why it didn't show it getting there, and it could be a motion sensor thing. I had someone tell me, well, the motion sensor, it takes like 10 or 20 seconds for it to actually start picking up. Well, now it's going to take longer than 10 or 20 seconds for her to pull up, Shanann get out of the car, tell her thank you, talk to her for just a minute, get her suitcases. So I still wonder why it doesn't show her arriving. But at 5:27 a.m., Chris's truck is observed backing into the driveway. Nate and Nicole both stated they had never seen him back into the driveway before. It leaves a short time later, and the rear of the truck was obscured from the camera by the garage. The video shows no other vehicles coming or going. The garage door of the residence was checked, and it did not open from the outside, but it did open and close from within. Christopher gave us consent to check Shanann's phone, and it had an alert which stated the garage door was opened at 12:42 p.m. Detective Baumover took the phone to the Frederick Police Department. Christopher showed me his phone, which shows alarm times when the doors are open. It sent an alarm at about the time stating he had left the garage open. Christopher told me that at least 3 times, which I felt was very unusual. So see, there again, that's something you wouldn't have saw in the video. You may have saw him saying that 3 times, but Officer Coonrod thought it was very unusual that he really wanted to stress the point that he got that alert when he left. Shanann's phone showed an alert at 12:42 p.m. for the garage door, which is the only way someone could leave the residence. 12:42 p.m. now. Think on that. That is a very odd time for that garage door to be alerting of anybody opening or closing it, because at this time Chris is at work, and from this report, Nicole didn't actually get to their house or call the wellness check-in until 1:40 p.m., like an hour later. Chris's demeanor was nonchalant. He asked one time if he should go look for his family. I advised him her car was at the residence and I needed him there for now. He did not ask again about looking, and he did not seem overly concerned. Nicole and Nate said they both felt Chris was extremely nervous. Nate said he had heard Chris numerous times in the past yelling loudly at Shanann. Okay, Nate actually came back and redacted that. I think it was on the Dr. Oz show where he made that public, and he said that he kind of over-exaggerated, that he heard some stuff from time to time or whatever. I can't exactly remember how he said it, but he just kind of overly exaggerated that because he wanted the police to take it serious, is what he said, and he wanted them to be looking for her. I canvassed the neighborhood, and no one I contacted observed any vehicles coming or going or anything unusual. I left business cards on a few residents that had video surveillance and requested copies if anything was observed. I had Weld County Dispatch send a check of well-being BOLO for Shanann and the children. Of course, I'm sure everyone knows BOLO means be on the lookout. The contact was recorded on Taser camera, that's his cop cam. Nothing further at this time, Officer Coonrod. Okay, going on down to page 7. Okay, this is Officer James' report, and this report is on 8/14. Other things that they recovered out of their home to use as evidence. They recovered a pillowcase with residue, 2 pillowcases, a top bed sheet with residue, an Apple Watch, green, an Apple Watch that is gold and pink, a MacBook Pro, blue, an iPad with a pink Cabanilli Lee brand hardcover case, an Amazon Echo in the kitchen, the N900 wireless dual band gigabyte router, leggings, clothing possibly last seen in the brand Maurice's. They were black with patterned leggings, and I believe that is the leggings that we saw in the doorbell camera that Shanann wore coming home. As far as the shirt she was wearing, that's still kind of a big don't know, because obviously I believe they never recovered that. Just the leggings. The book, Hold Me Tight, and that is the book that she sent Chris. And that's really sad, because it was found in the trash, still in the box where she had mailed it to him. Recovered a light blue natural glove, that is the hospital style gloves, and there was only one. All bedding and pillows from Bella's room. All bedding and pillow from Celeste's room. Her master bedroom comforter. All master bedroom bedding and pillows. Master bedroom men's clothing from the corner. And clothes on the master bed. And so it says just $1. So that socks maybe, because they put a pretty good value on these other items. So with it just being $1, I'm thinking socks or maybe underwear. I don't know. All clothing in hamper in master bedroom, $1. So there must not have been much in that either. The baby monitor with 2 cameras. A Dell laptop. This is Chris's work computer. On 8/13/2018 at approximately 16:19 hours, and that would be 4:19 p.m., I arrived on scene at 2800 block of Saratoga Trail at the request of Officer Coonrod. Upon arrival, he briefed me of information that Shanann Watts and her 2 daughters, Bella and Cece, were missing from the residence. Officer Coonrod pointed out the residence to me, 2825 Saratoga Trail, which is a yellow 2-story and brown trim. When I arrived on scene, the left east garage door was open, and I observed a white Lexus SUV inside. I later observed a male, later identified as Christopher Watts, exit the residence. There was also a brown extended cab Ford pickup parked in the street in front of the house. I spoke to Detective Baumhofer over the phone, and he advised Sergeant Bakes was on his way over and to check the house further for the 3 missing parties or for any note that may have been left behind. I spoke to Chris, and he advised he was fine with us looking through the house. Chris said he was going to go walk around the neighborhood to clear his head. Chris advised he works for Anadarko as an operator, and he advised he works Monday through Friday. I completed a consent to search form for the house. Chris advised he is the homeowner. I advised Chris I wanted to search his house in its entirety for missing persons. I then had Chris read the bottom of the consent to search form and advised him to ask me any questions he may have before signing. Chris read the bottom and waived his rights to a warrant. He then signed and dated the form. A few moments later, Sergeant Bakes, Officer Coonrod, and I searched the house. Chris advised we had free rein and to do whatever we got to do. Chris was advised he can go inside with us or stay outside. Chris advised he would stay outside on the deck, and Chris advised they have been together for 8 years and married for 6 this year. He said it was very unusual behavior. Chris entered the house and put their dog in the backyard. Upon approaching the front door, I observed a Ring doorbell camera, and Chris advised me he usually uses the garage door, and it depends what Shanann usually uses. He advised the only alerts he had for the doorbell were when her friends were there. Chris advised the Ring should record as you approach the front door. Chris said it showed that she got home at 1:48 a.m. and the only thing that was weird was the garage door showed that it was still open after he left. Chris advised his alarm is through Vivid. Chris said her friend Nikki said the garage door was shut when she got there. Okay, I have a question about the Ring doorbell camera, and I don't doubt I know a lot of people think that Ring doorbell of Shanann getting home that morning at 1:48 a.m., there is speculation that was actually recorded at a different time, but I don't think so. I think that was the actual recording of her getting home that morning, because it does show Nicole leaving, and Nicole pretty much put that timeline exactly where the doorbell camera showed her there. So I'm personally, in my own opinion, going to debunk that people think that's a pre-recorded thing, because I don't think so. I think that is the actual recording of Shanann getting home that morning. But my question is this: did the doorbell camera pick up Nicole Atkinson and her son when they got there that day to check on Shanann? Because she said she put the code in, and everything, and then tried to open it and couldn't open it, for the simple fact that it was latched from the inside. At the same time, I personally never heard that the doorbell camera picked Nicole up getting there that day, or even Officer Coonrod when he was looking through the door. And that's something that's I've always wondered about, because I didn't see it on any of the discoveries. And if you guys have saw that, let me know, because that's just something I've never saw, and it's always made me wonder. Since everything else was turned over by Frederick in the discovery, then what about those recordings of the doorbell camera? It's something that I've kind of always wondered about. Chris advised the Ring should record as you approach the front door. Chris said it showed that she got home at 1:48 a.m. and the only thing that was weird was the garage door showed that it was still open after he left. He kept talking about that garage door. He mentioned it so many times, not to just one agent and investigator, to all of them. It's like he really wanted that to stick out there. It was very weird, and it was even picking up on his phone and Shanann's phone, and for whatever reasons, he was really adamant about that. Chris advised his alarm is through Vivid, and Chris said her friend Nikki said the garage door was shut when she got there. So, if it was shut when she got there, then who shut it? It was definitely open before she got there. So who shut it? See, that's another question that's never had an answer. Or not an answer that I'm aware of. I observed a purse on the kitchen counter along with a second phone in a black case. There was a green wallet in the purse, and I observed Shanann's Colorado driver's license to be in the wallet along with cash and multiple bank credit debit cards. There was also a nausea medication in the purse prescribed to Shanann. Upon searching the rest of the house, I did not find signs of damaged property or anything that would indicate some type of struggle. The house was very well kept and organized with the exception to the office area. And a lot of people wonder why the office area was in such a mess. Well, I don't know. I mean, we all got that one room, or most of us do, that we just don't go in that much and we don't really have time to keep it up, and it's kind of a quote-unquote catch-all, so that could be the issue. A lot of people thinks it was ransacked during the search. I don't, because right here it says it was already that way. And then there's other people that think somebody was looking for something in there before the search. Nobody knows, right? My own personal opinion, it's just a room. She didn't go in that much, and she just didn't really keep it up like she did the rest of the house. That's my personal opinion. I observed medication in Ziploc bags on the desk in the office. The medication was inhalers, and from what I recognized to be packages of medicine for nebulizers. And I'm sure most of you know what nebulizers is, but just in case you don't, maybe some of you don't, but what that is that's like for breathing treatments, like for allergies and just random this and that. I had 2 grandchildren that were on those nebulizer breathing treatment kind of things. There was also a prescription bottle of Celeste for omeprazole, 10 milligram in the bag. Omeprazole is actually like Prilosec. That is the actual brand name of it, is Prilosec. It's for acid reflux. The Lexus was parked in the garage with 2 car seats in the back seat and the keys sitting in the center console. There was also a remote to the garage attached to the passenger side visor, and I did not observe anything out of the ordinary inside the Lexus. There was mail sitting on the passenger seat. There was also other car seats sitting on the floor of the garage. The basement was unfinished and very well organized. There was a bed in the basement that had pillows and a blanket on it. The bed was not made. There was also a makeshift window covering on the window near the bed, and I believe that's probably the big Mickey Mouse blanket that was covering the window. I then went upstairs into the master bedroom on the 2nd level where Sergeant Banks and Officer Coonrod were. Upon entering the room, Sergeant Banks was looking at a blanket on the floor. I did not observe anything obviously damaged or anything that would indicate a struggle in the bedroom. The washing machine door was open, and it appeared there was a couple of child clothing items in the washer. There was a load of clothes in the dryer. The Purple Kid's bedroom did not have the bed made, but the sheets and blanket were on it. There was a Jack and Jill bathroom that was pink between the 2 kids' bedrooms. There was not water in the toilet of the bathroom. I was advised the bathroom had previously been locked. There was a second bathroom off the loft upstairs that had children bath items in the tub. There was also a well-organized playroom upstairs with toys and books. The backyard had a short privacy fence with townhouses directly to the south. Upon looking in the backyard, I went back outside to the front where Chris was. I observed there to be a latch at the top of the front door, something commonly used on hotel rooms. That would prevent the door from opening unless the latch was unlatched. I also observed a pair of black, what appeared to be female flip-flops directly next to the front door. Chris advised the garage door pad on the exterior of the garage door did not work. Chris advised he had to have the actual garage door opener to close the garage from the outside. Shanann's garage door opening was in her car. Officer Coonrod pressed the garage door opener that is attached to the wall next to the door that leads into the house to see how long it would take for the garage door to close. There was enough time for someone to press the button from inside the garage and then run out of the garage onto the driveway. It kind of makes me wonder if the reason the test was actually done is because of those alerts that Chris kept talking about, as well as they seen on Shanann's phone that happened at 12:42 p.m. when no one was there. It kind of makes me wonder if they were doing that for that reason, to see if there was possibly someone still in the house that day when Chris left, and they would have had enough time to leave the house and get out of the garage before it would actually shut back down. Now, I'm not making speculations or throwing anything out there, but I am strictly going by the facts of this discovery, of the little test they did, and Chris being so adamant about them knowing about those, that he left the garage open, and then he got those alerts, and then Nicole saying it was closed when she got there about an hour after the alerts came through. No speculations, just curious if that's why he done this little test. Chris advised all of their family is in North Carolina. He advised she has friends in Frederick, Erie, Aurora, Parker, and he has tried to contact them. Chris advised he couldn't log in to check the bank accounts because she does the finances. He said he knows the password but not the username. He advised they bank through USAA and Chase. Chris agreed to call and see if there was any activity. Chris said the small black suitcase next to the staircase was from the trip Shanann just got back from on the morning of 8/13/2018. She had went to Arizona for work. Chris advised the suitcase observed in the bedroom was from when they went to North Carolina. He said they had just got back from North Carolina, then she went to Arizona 2 days later. Chris advised if there was a stockpile of money in the house, he would not have known about it. He said she normally only carries approximately $100 in cash with her. The bed of Chris's work truck was filled with items, including a fire extinguisher, a large diameter hose, a shovel, a gas can, and multiple toolboxes. He advised that was a pickup that he always drives. Chris said he needed to go inside for his card information for the bank. Inside the house, he said there was a taxi cab charge that posted to Chase on the 12th. Chris advised Shanann had a passport, but he didn't know where it was. I asked Chris if he had looked through her wallet to make sure all of her cards were there, and he said she has different cards than him and didn't know how many she had. He said the debit cards were the same account. Chris advised his kids didn't have a favorite pair of shoes they wear, and Chris showed a closet with multiple children's shoes in it, and he said he tells them to pick out their shoes. Chris advised Cece takes Singulair for allergies and omeprazole for acid reflux. He said he thinks they ran out of inhalers because the last one he saw had 0 on it and they hadn't refilled it yet. Chris advised he went back to work on the 8th, so they got home from North Carolina on the 7th. Chris advised she left for Arizona on Friday and got home last night. He advised he had the kids all weekend and they went to a birthday party yesterday. Chris said he has slept in the basement a few times because of the separation. He said it was probably Thursday night into Friday. He advised the kids sleep in their own beds. Sergeant Banks asked about the sheets in the master bedroom. Chris said she usually jumps into bed after being at the airport and will wash the sheets the next day to get the airport off of them. Chris advised he was in the master bedroom last night, and Chris said Shanann works at home in direct sales. Chris said she doesn't go for walks around the area, but he will go for runs. Chris said this morning they had a conversation about selling the house and separating, and he said they were both pretty emotional and crying. Chris said Shanann told him she was taking the kids to a friend's house but didn't tell him who. He said she was still in the bed when that happened. Chris said it was between 4 and 5 a.m. He said he woke up at 4 a.m. Chris said he had passed out when she got home and then he woke her up. He said he wanted to have the conversation with her face to face. He said the conversation lasted 30 to 45 minutes, and he said he left between 5:15 and 5:30 a.m. But I think his truck GPS showed him leaving at 5:45 a.m. actually. Chris said he went to location first east of Hudson. He said he was the only one there because one of the other operators had an issue there Friday that was left over the weekend. Now see there, I don't think it was really practical to leave any sort of oil leak or oil problem to be left unattended all weekend. Anadarko had just had an issue just a few months prior to this with explosion, oil tanks blowing up. It actually blew up neighborhoods, homes. People lost their lives in it. So I believe with something like this, that should have probably been fixed pronto, like ASAP, not just left for a couple of days until the weekend's over. You would also think that they had on-call workers at all times, like PRN, that would be called in if there was an issue, if everyone else was off work. So I always thought that's kind of odd that they would just leave a faulty, leaking, possibly dangerous oil leak, oil tank all weekend. It just doesn't make sense that that happened. He said he went there to verify the issue to see if he could fix it. He said he then went a pumping unit across the ranch. He advised it was the Survey Ranch near Rogan, Colorado. Chris said he loaded up his water bottles, computer, book bag, container, O-rings into his truck, and he advised he had an issue where someone stole tools out of his truck previously. He said he parked his truck near the neighbor's house for a few days to see if someone was trying to break in again. He said he had left his toolboxes in the back unlocked, and he said he unloads his stuff on weekends to clear his truck out. He said they originally moved in with a friend in Broomfield, then their house was built in 2013. He said he don't have many friends in Frederick besides Nikki and some friends that recently moved to Thornton, Nick and Amanda Thayer. Chris said Shanann's friend Cassie is a nurse and noticed she had low blood sugar while they were in Arizona. He said before he met Shanann, she had a bad car accident where they believe she had blacked out or had a seizure. I left Chris with my business card and told him to have her call us if anyone they knew is in contact with her. Throughout the interaction with Chris, he was very cooperative and answered questions appropriately. Nothing was readily observed inside the residence that would have indicated a struggle. On 8/13/2018 at approximately 21:12 hours, which that would be 9:12 p.m., I called Chris to see if he had heard anything, and he advised he had not, but provided me with a phone number to a few of her friends. They included the following: Addie Maloney, Sam Paisley, Christina Meacham, Jeremy Lindstrom, and Cindy Darasset. Chris advised me she was in North Carolina for 5 weeks, then he went for the 6th week. He said there was a disconnect and they fell out of love for each other. He said when they were together again the last week, it just wasn't the same. Chris felt like they weren't in love anymore. Chris said he could never be himself or be who he was before he met her. Chris said they had the disconnect once he saw her again and that it just wasn't there anymore. Okay, so once he went and seen her, as soon as he looked at her, he felt disconnected. Okay, it makes really good sense, Chris. Chris said it was totally possible she was seeing someone else. When I asked if he was seeing someone else, he slightly lowered his voice and said, "No, I have not done that." Chris said he was going to go to work early to see what was going on. He said if his head wasn't there, he would roll out. Chris said he didn't know what he wanted us to do, and he said it's hard to be in the house right now. Chris was advised to call us right away if he hears anything. I first spoke to Sam Paisley, and she advised she lives in Maryland and knows Shanann through work. The last time Sam spoke with her was July the 18th via text. Sam said most of her information was coming from Addie and Cindy, who she was texting with. Advised Chris didn't want the baby Shanann was currently pregnant with and that he wanted a separation. Sam advised Chris went to a baseball game on Saturday with his buddies and Shanann thought his expense for a meal of salmon and beer was expensive because it was around $60. Sam advised she thought Chris ate at the Rusty Bucket in Westminster at around 8 p.m. and arrived 2 hours later. Sam advised Shanann was experiencing nausea with the pregnancy, and Sam provided me with the contact information of Cindy. I then spoke with Jeremy, and he advised Shanann had a very scheduled life. He advised the kids take medication, and Chris had brought the girls to his house on Sunday for a birthday party. Jeremy lives in Erie and sees them once every few months. When I called Jeremy, he was just leaving Chris's house with his wife. Okay, I do have Jeremy Lindstrom's interview on the channel. I will link it at the end of this video. It's pretty interesting, and keep in mind that this interview with him was done when Shanann was still missing, and there is a lot of people that's not real pleased with the things Jeremy and his wife said about Shanann. At the same time, can't really judge because that is their truth and that's how they saw it. So you just kind of, it's hard not to be biased listening to his interview, but at the same time it's important that you try to stay unbiased because that's his truth, or he wouldn't be saying it, right? So I don't know. I'm definitely not defending what he said because I too got irritated listening to what he was saying. I then spoke with Cindy. She was in Arizona with Shanann. Cindy lives in Arizona. Her and Addie had dropped Nikki and Shanann off at the airport Sunday evening at around 7 p.m. Cindy saw Nikki for the work event Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Cindy advised they worked for Lavelle, and Cindy advised that Shanann told them that Chris was becoming distant and said they weren't compatible anymore. Cindy said Shanann was blindsided by this. Cindy said they were making plans to go away for the weekend. She mentioned that Chris recently deleted his Facebook account. Chris used to post on Facebook about how proud he was of Shanann and the kids. Cindy said Shanann was pregnant with a boy, but they had canceled the gender reveal party because the energy wasn't right. Cindy said Chris had recently started to get more fit. and Cindy advised Shanann was a very routine-oriented person and described her as a helicopter mom. Cindy described Chris as a passive and calm person. Cindy said Shanann has lupus. She also said Shanann was very distraught about Chris and that he was getting annoyed with her recently. Cindy advised she has known Shanann for a couple of years and saw them in April or May in New Orleans for work. I then spoke with Christina. Christina lives in Hawaii and describes herself and Shanann as best friends and have known each other for 14 years. She advised they talk every day. The last time they spoke was Friday, and Christina didn't bother her the other days because she was on her trip. Christina advised Chris had been cold towards Shanann recently. While in North Carolina, Shanann called Christina and said he wouldn't touch or kiss her anymore. Shanann told her that Chris didn't want the baby she was pregnant with and that he was scared. He was happy with just having only the 2 girls. Chris told Shanann they weren't compatible anymore. Shanann was in North Carolina without Chris for 5 weeks, and then Chris went there the last week. Christina said on Friday Shanann told her she was having a baby boy, and she was super excited. Shanann said Chris was willing to go into therapy with her, and they had planned to go to Aspen. Christina lived with Chris and Shanann last year for 2 months when Shanann had surgery to help take care of the kids. Christina said Shanann was in charge of the household, and they were very loving and caring towards each other. Christina said Shanann told her that Chris was tired of not being able to hang a picture on the wall without her input, and he just wanted a say. Christina said their marriage began to change when Shanann was in North Carolina. Chris began to get aggravated with the kids around him. She said Chris used to put Shanann and the kids first. Chris began to not touch or ask Shanann about the baby. Christina said when they were separated for 5 weeks, Chris came back to Shanann a different man. Christina said Shanann had routine and was a bit OCD. She advised everything was in order, even what she wore as clothes. Christina described Shanann as very protective of the kids. Christina did believe they struggled a bit financially. Shanann wanted the marriage to work out but said she couldn't fight for him without his help. Christina described the girls as being light sleepers because of where the girls slept above the garage of the house. They would not open the garage in the morning. Christina said Chris would usually go out the front door. She said if there was an argument when she got home, and the girls definitely would have woke up. Christina used an example of when she lived with them. They had to leave early one morning, so they had to park the car outside the garage the night before. Shanann was worried just turning on the car that it would wake the kids. Christina advised Shanann would not leave the house without anything. Christina advised it would be hard to imagine Chris hurting the girls because he was very attentive and caring. Christina advised Chris getting aggravated with the kids as well as with the marriage all began around the same time. Christina also mentioned Chris had deleted his Facebook page. Finally, Christina described Shanann as a person who plans everything and says she would not have just left like that. I then spoke with Addie via phone. She was flying back to Maryland from Arizona. Addie advised things were not good between Chris and Shanann. Chris did not want the baby, and they had canceled the gender reveal party. 2 weeks ago, Shanann was texting and Addie telling her this information. With Addie. 2 weeks ago, Shanann was texting with Addie telling her this information. When Addie saw Shanann Sunday night, Shanann looked sad. Shanann said Chris went to the Rockies game with a couple of guys. Shanann had been in contact with the babysitter who was watching the girls while he was out. Chris told her he went and got food, after some salmon and drank beer. He told Shanann it was $62 and she thought it was expensive for just him. Addie said while in North Carolina, Chris's mom had exposed their daughter to tree nut allergy. nuts and ice cream, and Shanann and his parents had a falling out over it. Addie said his parents did not go to Cece's birthday party they had for her in North Carolina because of the falling out. Addie said Chris and his father were close, and Shanann had left like Chris thought she had caused the problems with his dad. Addie said Chris seemed to come around to the idea of another baby when he found out it was a boy because he wanted a boy. When Addie found out they were having problems, it came as a huge shock to her. She advised Chris told Shanann they couldn't communicate well anymore, but wouldn't really say what was going on with the relationship. Addie said Shanann was anxious to get home because Chris was coming around prior to her going to Arizona. Shanann was also looking forward to getting away with him for the weekend. Addie believed Nikki was going to watch the kids while they were gone, but wasn't sure. Addie said Shanann was the best mom she knows and wouldn't have left medicine, phones, or car seats. Addie said Shanann was the most organized person and planned everything. Addie described Chris as being a great dad. Addie said the only person in Colorado that knew of the marriage problems was Nikki. Most of Shanann's friends are through the business, and Addie said Shanann would go on play dates and mentioned Amanda, who used to be the director at the school. A female by the name of Karen they work with was also in Arizona and lives in Colorado, but they did not discuss Chris with Arizona. Addie also mentioned Chris told her a neighbor has a security camera that is pointed at their house. For a full account of my conversation with all of the friends, please refer to the taser camera footage, which I've never seen the taser camera footage of all of these. I've only saw the read-throughs in the Discovery. It should be noted, I, along with Sergeant Bakes, Officer Goodman, and 2 Dacono officers looked through the houses under construction in Shanann's neighborhood, but did not locate them. A caller from Sandy, Utah had observed a Facebook post regarding Shanann. She advised she observed a guy with 2 young girls that looked similar to the missing children at the Dimple Dell Aquatic Center in Sandy, Utah at approximately 6:05 p.m. The reporter was Kathy Burdett. Videos and photos were uploaded to evidence.com. No further information. Officer James, Frederick Police Department. Okay, I'm going to stop right there with part 1, and I'll have part 2 up just about as soon as I get this one up.